Hello everyone, Sony has just held their final State of Play for 2019, so as always, we will do a recap, and impressions, and a quick Q&A from you guys on Twitter. So without wasting any of your time, Sony opened the State of Play with a trailer for Untitled Goose Game. Now, we knew this was coming, but nice to see a trailer for it. This is coming December 17th. Actually, if you're into trophies, the trophy list already leaked prior to this, and it does have a platinum, so very good news there. Spellbreak trailer is next. Spellbreak is this Battle Royale style game. Closed beta is coming spring 2020. Looks cool, but a lot of games entering this Battle Royale space. We got that very needed update for Dreams, like we've been speculating for a little bit now. We had that Shop 2 tweet that was initially deleted, but we do have a retail release coming February 14th for Dreams, so that initial little leak was in fact correct. They make it actually a point to keep saying made in Dreams, so it kind of implies that we might not see a single player content ready in time for February 14th, but that remains to be seen. We get a trailer for Subliminal. This is coming to PS4 2020. This looked very abstract, very cool, very different. I always like stuff like this. Then we get Paper Beast for PSVR. This is the only PlayStation VR game we got here. This is coming the first quarter of 2020. Another very weird looking sort of experience, but you've got a lot of these paper animals moving around. You can manipulate them and solve some puzzles. Then we get DLC for Kingdom Hearts 3, the Remind DLC. This is coming January 23rd, 2020. If you're into Kingdom Hearts, this is going to be a very substantial piece of content because it's already said to be around $29.99 for this expansion. Then we get a update on Predator Hunting Grounds, a very cool trailer. This is that asymmetric multiplayer game. This is actually a Sony IP, so this is a PlayStation 4 exclusive coming April 24th, 2020. Be on the lookout for that. Then there is a trailer for Babylon's Fall. Not much to go on here. The trailer ends off saying new information next summer, so not a whole lot we can go off of. But unsurprisingly, Project Resistance revealed to be the Resident Evil 3 Remake, the internet's worst kept secret, April 3rd, 2020. We haven't really been covering it on this channel, but it's pretty widely accepted news that that was a real thing, and here it was. Also includes the online game Resident Evil Resistance as well. Now, it looks like it's ending out with a special message from Ken Kutaragi, who is the father of PlayStation, the original architect for PS1, PS2, PS3, original president and CEO of Sony Computer Entertainment. Just thanking the fans, you know. It was a nice message. I certainly enjoyed looking at it. Probably doesn't mean a lot to a whole lot of people, but for how much PlayStation we do on this channel, I thought it was great to actually see him. He doesn't have a lot of on-camera stuff, to be honest. Finding footage for him is not easy. But they give us an extra little last-minute one more thing, which is a final update on Ghost of Tsushima, and it's somewhat disappointing, but it's a very small little teaser of like 30 seconds, and it basically says you're going to see the rest of this trailer during the Game Awards, which is in 2 days, so not bad at all. And I wasn't expecting a release date for Ghost of Tsushima either, so this actually panned out nicely, although maybe in 2 days we will get a release date. It still seems a bit premature to me. Ghost of Tsushima, out of Sony's last lifecycle PS4 games, be it Death Stranding, Last of Us Part 2, and Ghost of Tsushima, that one title in particular, we haven't seen a whole lot of it. I mean, we got a pretty substantial amount of coverage for The Last of Us Part 2, which gave us that initial release date, and then it got pushed back, but you could tell that they were much closer to finishing the game and being confident in giving us that release date. The fact that we've only had 2, now upwards of 3 trailers for Ghosts of Tsushima, it seems like it still might be a bit too early to get a trailer, but again, we'll find out in 2 days from now at the Game Awards, which I think Jeff Keighley has now bumped up the amount of announcements to 15 titles that we don't know about, or actual trailers with some brand new information might be what he's implying there. But traditionally, the Game Awards always has been a show that shows us a lot of, well, new stuff. World premiere, you know how he likes to do that. So it's one of those things where even if you don't like watching the Game Awards, you can at least wait until the show's over to go online and check out all the announcements that came out of the show. But overall, this was a pretty serviceable State of Play. It was exactly what I was expecting. I didn't get to talk to you guys about it on Let's Talk PlayStation last Friday because this news broke out over the weekend that Sony was doing another State of Play. And we barely glanced over that in LTPS, stating, I think when we were talking about Dreams, that we may get another one before the year's end, and that's where we'll get this update of Dreams, maybe another trailer for Ghost of Tsushima, and certainly, you know, the whole internet was wondering where this Resident Evil 3 announcement was going to go. I think the Game Awards was an easy suspect, but once the State of Play popped up, it was kind of like, all right, well, that might also be a very good place for it. Remember, State of Play, 20 minutes, and I still really like how digestible this is. It's a 20-minute show. It almost somewhat makes these videos irrelevant because it's so easy to actually check out all the news, but also just watch the State of Play in general on your own, right? It's super, super easy. You're getting trailer, a lot of information in 20 minutes, which is good. But at the very least, this is a great place to do a Q&A. We don't do that too much here on this channel, so I asked you guys over on Twitter how you felt about the State of Play or any questions you may have for 2020, so we'll be covering that right now. Excuse me, it's so early. I'm never up this early. I'm usually still sleeping, at least on the East Coast. It's 9:30 right now, so this is early for me. But we're going to start off actually with Kevin. Kevin says, what happens if Dreams doesn't sell well? Is Media Molecule going to be out on the chopping block? That's a tough question to answer because as it stands right now, Dreams is being poised as this very long-term project for Media Molecule. And you would assume that Sony's well behind that initiative and they're going to let them put Dreams out there and constantly be, iterated on. And I've always theorized that this is a great example of a game that probably does need to lean on another platform, and I think it would be actually a great idea to put it on PC to supplement whatever income stream that Dreams is going to have. I still can't see Dreams doing really well. It is a very unique game. It's not for everybody. It doesn't reach wide enough. It doesn't have the same pull as something like Little Big Planet, which is always a really great outlier of an example where in 2008 that game came out and you had everybody playing that game. It didn't matter what genre of game you were in, whether you were playing the latest Call of Duty, latest Battlefield, maybe you mostly gamed on 360, you were playing your PS3 and you were playing Little Big Planet. Dreams is not having that same effect. It's much more obtuse, and as a creator, it's much more difficult. I was actually quite good at building a Little Big Planet, and I can't make much of anything in Dreams. So it's more a question of how long is Sony going to allow them to keep working on it and trying to somewhat monetize it long term. They've talked about that a little bit, about how they're really focusing more on the user-generated content this time around rather than Little Big Planet, which leads me to believe they are looking at avenues to allow content creators in the game to monetize their content beyond Dreams. You'd play it with Dream tools, certainly, but there's got to be something here that they're really thinking about long term to where it really makes sense. Otherwise, this is millions of dollars they're pumping into it, and it's a project that's really only going to sell, if they're lucky, a few million. Edwin says, you're right on the money predictions. Nice. How long do you think until the next State of Play? Do you think it'll be post PS5 or include PS5 stuff whenever the next episode is? Also separate, but what do you think of MLB The Show going multi-plat? So we're going to cover the MLB thing probably on Let's Talk PlayStation this coming Friday, although we do have to cover the Game Awards as well. The thing with MLB, though, is that it's not really the biggest surprise in the world. It's not really the most meaningful thing either. The fact that Sony still holds the license tells you that they want to keep their revenue stream for that game, because they're just going to see a bunch of software sales, not only on PlayStation, but now other platforms as well. For the next State of Play, I would assume post PS5, which means we won't get one for quite a while, because PS5 is a very substantial thing. I mean, they're going to do some sort of hour and a half, 2 hour long conference, including tech demos. You're gonna have Mark Cerny on stage. He's gonna do his spiel, probably show us the controller again. If it's really formulaic, just like PS4 in 2013, you're gonna have Mark Cerny, you're gonna have Jim Ryan on stage. They're gonna say what they need to say. Bunch of third parties coming in. Actually, the third parties will probably be the last third of the show. So the second third of the show would be Sony first party titles, so we find out what Gorilla is doing, if that's aimed to be a launch title. GT7 it keeps getting thrown around as a launch title, so you'd probably have Polyphony come up and show that off, unless they really dynamically change it up. But PS5's big enough to where they're going to want to show that before they do another State of Play regarding PS5 at all. If they do another State of Play, it's not going to have PS5 stuff. Datboy Nick says, do you think the second part of the Ghost of Tsushima gameplay will include a release date when we see it at the Game Awards? Like I mentioned, I don't feel like we need one just yet. We just haven't seen enough, and I don't think a trailer at the Game Awards is going to convince me otherwise. Because it needs it. I would assume it's going to be a fall title. You have to. You definitely can't keep it in this range of the first 4 or 5 months of 2020. It's way too packed. And it's not weird to have this very last PS4 exclusive come out right next to PlayStation 5. I mean, actually, most PlayStation generations have always had that one last Sony entry on the outgoing console. We had God of War 2 when going into PS3. We had The Last of Us going into PS4, and then you'd have native releases afterwards, a few years into the new platform's life cycle. But that's where I keep placing Ghost of Tsushima. So if we got a release date, it would seem weird to say, hey, and the game's coming exactly September so and so 2020 when it's, we're still actually in 2019, right? That's what seems a bit too early to me. Why Haas says, why does Ghost of Tsushima seem like it's not getting enough coverage? Because we just don't see enough of this game. That's what I'm saying. It just seems really premature. If we get that release date at the Game Awards, and let's say they do place it really close to all these other games that we're getting, like Final Fantasy, The Last of Us, Cyberpunk, it seems like they wouldn't be doing the game justice at that point. So I think we need a lot of distance away from the game, and I think we need much more trailers beyond just the one that we're getting at the Game Awards before we get a proper release date. RetroRad, do you think next year E3 game announcements will have little to none PS4 support? No. Sony always supports their outgoing platform at least a year and a half to 2 years into the next platform's life cycle. Now, no doubt they're going to sidestep it. I mean, once they really pull the curtain off of PlayStation 5, I mean, it's full steam ahead. But you're going to see them give it still a plentiful amount of time on during E3 or during the next PlayStation Experience, whatever trade show that they're going to. Upcoming State of Plays in 2020 is still going to be plenty of PS4 stuff. It's just, you're going to see them do that transition, no doubt. And I wouldn't get discouraged if you're still playing on PS4. If you're still adamant about playing on PS4 for the next 2-3 years, I think you don't really have a huge problem. Although, as we've mentioned, Sony's one of their biggest priorities with PlayStation 5 is moving PS4 players over to PS5. What that looks like, I'm not sure. I think it's going to be more in terms of aggressive marketing, maybe an upgrade program in place, making the transition feel easy so you don't feel like you're losing anything or spending too much money going over to PS5. But they're still going to support PS4. Tyler Haight says, what's your thoughts on the new Square Enix game? You think it might become a PS5 title or is one, since all it said was more info next summer? No, a lot of what you're seeing now, they're still PS4 releases. It's just, it is that question of, will it additionally see a PlayStation 5 release? Which, most of these games, probably. I think we're still giving a lot of all these titles way too much credit of like, oh, it's definitely on PS5. Hold your horses here. I mean, we still have well over 100 million PlayStation 4s. Games that are in development right now have had 2, 3, 4 year development cycles that have been on PlayStation 4, on Xbox One current generation machines. So we're still seeing plenty of PS4 releases. It's just a matter of which ones are going to creep into a PS5 release as well. And so you can make a case for a lot of these 2020 games going to PS5 because it would make sense, but for some developers it won't, depending on the size and the scale of the publisher, the size and scale of the team, and the amount of resources available. Do you really think it makes a huge case for porting the game over? And mind you, it would be substantially easier than what it was like 10 years ago, where you had two different architectures on the outgoing system and the new system. But is there enough money and resources to release on a brand new platform that, is not going to have no install base? For some games, it's not going to make sense. And so you're still going to see a lot of games not go over to PS5, which might surprise people, but it's not, I wouldn't expect everything to go to PS5. Kakarot says, do you think Sony would allow us to upgrade our PS4 digital games to PS5 games, similar to PS3 doing that for PS4 games, as I'm guessing these late releases like Dreams, Ghost of Tsushima, Last of Us 2 will surely have, and I'm guessing you mean PS5 releases. I don't remember when we talked about this, but we did touch on this a little bit. My initial line of thinking was most publishers, Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, very guilty of this, but anybody in this business will try to sell you the game again on a new platform. So that was and I'm always usually pretty optimistic here, but I pessimistically kept warning everybody, look, these games, they're going to have native PS5 releases. They're going to be another full 50, 60 some odd dollars, maybe even 70 if we're bold enough to where publishers are going to do that this upcoming gen. But Now I'm feeling a little bit differently, only because Sony keeps stating they really want to move PS4 players to PS5. We did have a very small upgrade program from PS3 to PS4. It was only for like 5 or 6 launch titles, where it was a $10 upgrade fee if you bought on PS3. Even that was super well justified, though. You're going from Cell to x86, whereas now you're going from x86 to x86. Still, they're still highly customized CPUs. I mean, so it's not completely 100% easy, but that's why they're achieving backwards compatibility. That's why PS4 Pro works the way it does. Same with Xbox One X. So what I've been arguing is that you could see a PS4 game playing on PS5 just fine because backwards compatibility is there, but a patch could be involved to see those performance gains be added in there with a patch. But even without a patch, I believe what we're hearing so far is that retroactively you can see a higher frame rate, not a higher resolution, but you could see, unless it's upscaled, but you could see a higher frame rate, which PS4 Pro does with boost mode. And you don't see huge gains there, but it happens. But native patches, I think, might be commonplace depending on how many publishers want to explore that. Because whoever starts doing that might open the floodgates where everybody else has to do it. Like if one guy makes it free, then everybody has to make it free. If it becomes commonplace for some of these late PS4 games into PlayStation 5. If you have a 2015 copy of a PS4 game, I wouldn't bank on getting a free upgrade to the PS5 version when it comes out in, say, 2021, for example. But some of these late titles to PS5, now I'm thinking it might be a possibility, but I still wouldn't get super excited about that just yet. All right, we're going to wrap it up there. So on Twitter, I mentioned that it wouldn't make sense to do one of our random Tuesday videos, like an unboxing or discussion topic, while completely ignoring State of Play. So that's why we're doing this video here, meaning that we're not going to do a regular video. We'll do that next week on Tuesday. I still have more unboxings. There was another documentary I wanted to work on. I'm not sure if that will be done by the end of the year at this point, but still doing plenty of other stuff. And we have this Friday, Let's Talk PlayStation, which will be conveniently right after the Game Awards, so we can talk about some of the announcements that we see during that show, which surely there will be some interesting things there, I would imagine. Also, we can talk more about MLB. We have an Xbox Anaconda rumor and how it is, well, potentially, definitely more powerful than PlayStation 5. So we have plenty of things to talk about still, and I will see you all on Friday for Let's Talk PlayStation. So, if you haven't yet, please subscribe for the best PlayStation news, reviews, and updates that are here on YouTube. Follow on Twitter at Mystic Ryan for situations just like this, where you can send in questions and we can talk a little bit about what happened live. And that's it. I will see you all in my next video. You take it easy.